Leading the girls outside the woods to keep them safe from the delinquents, Haruka spotted a group of isekai folks being terrorized by giant green wolves. After helping them out, the isekai natives take the girls and Haruka to Omoi village, their destination. What awaits them there? And will Haruka finally be able to ditch the girls and go back to his lonerous ways? We find out in episode 5 of Loner Life in Another World. The episode starts with the girls showing their excitement after finally arriving at Omoi village, while Haruka, almost out of his social battery, wonders if he'll finally be free to go about his loner way of life after this. The class rep tries to keep the girls from getting carried away in the new town and asks Haruka for a hand. But Haruka, who couldn't be bothered if a giant meteor was heading their way, lazily sips on his coconut water. Blowing her whistle like a drill sergeant, the class rep has the girls assembled in rows instantly. She then discusses the order of business, which was to get registered in the Adventurers Guild, turn in some valuable items for money, and get an inn. And after that, they could ask around about the guys. Not happy with this plan, the gals argue with the class rep that they were the nerds, just a mere side errand for her. The class rep tries to explain while Haruka quickly chimes in and teases them for worrying about the nerds. At the guild office, Haruka looks on in terror at the tough-looking men staring back at him from inside, as if he were the kid who asked the teacher about homework right when the class is about to end. After calls Haruka and informs him the guild boss wanted to see him. Reluctantly, Haruka goes up the man. There, a scary-looking man with a mustache so pointy it could poke your eyes out asks Haruka if he were him. Haruka answers yes under his terrified breath, only to shake his hands profusely for saving After and his party. Relieved that he wasn't getting killed and was just called in to be commended, Haruka spots the magic crystal trader. Haruka asks the trader where to put his crystals. Finding his question odd, she tells him, on the counter, of course. Haruka looks at her with an, "Alright, if you say so" expression and piles up a mountain of crystals. While the trader apologizes for not having enough money in exchange for the crystals he brought, the class rep and the girls return after successfully registering in the Adventurers Guild. Haruka doesn't appreciate the change in attitude from the scary-looking guys from earlier for the girls. Enthralled that the curtain on his neat days was finally about to drop, Haruka goes to register himself as an adventurer. But his joy is short-lived as his dreams shatter before his eyes when the lady there tells him he cannot register since he was level 9 and the minimum level for registration was 10. Haruka pleads for an exception, but the strict lady refuses, which pushes Haruka into a depressed state, and it seems that he will remain a NEET forever. The gang heads for the inn to settle in for the night. It's the next morning, and while the girls excite over the idea of shopping in town, Haruka thinks about collecting the money for his crystals and finally being able to head back. At the guild office, the entire trading crew apologizes to Haruka for only being able to arrange 8 million ere for him at the moment. The guild boss shows up and requests Haruka if taking installments would be alright with him, to which Haruka agrees. As Haruka and class rep are about to head out with their newly acquired riches and shop, they meet Gatek at the entrance, who tells them about a place they'd be interested in. Haruka wonders about the sketchy-looking weapon in front of his shop that looks like it had been through 3 divorces. Gatek explains it had specialty items from dungeons that would be especially useful for odd ones like Haruka. Haruka asks the owner if he could check some of them out. Haruka tries out a bunch of the items and buys even more. Excited during his first isekai shopping spree, Haruka notices a necklace saying number 7 on it. After asking the owner, Haruka is told that the necklace had the ability to rack up to 7 skills and allow the user to use them all together simultaneously. Interested, Haruka looks around for what else he could be buying to buff up his equipment when the class rep shows up and blows the whistle on Haruka for shopping this long. Haruka tries to convince her to let him shop just a little longer, when he drops a missile wine that turns sticks into staffs on the 7 necklace, and accidentally combines a bunch of items, valuing 10 million ere together. As Gatek and class rep try to console the distraught owner and request he take 8 million ere instead, Haruka saddens over the fact that his shopping time was over. It's the morning of day 20 in the isekai world, and Haruka sulks in a dark corner of his room about being broke and not being able to buy anything anymore.
You're broke! You're f***ing poor!
Not being able to leave town, as only adventurers were allowed to do so, Haruka wonders what a NEET like him was supposed to do there. Fed up, Haruka grabs his invisible cloak and sneaks past the girls without getting noticed. Haruka checks the town gate for guards, and after making sure no one was there, he runs happily to his freedom, jumping over the town walls to get out, but makes a brutal landing on his family jewels mid-jumper when he gets startled by someone calling him. It's the girl jocks of his class, who are trying to see what's going on. Haruka's first attempt at trying to escape to his beloved lonely woods ends up with him trying to console the insecure, green-haired jock girl by telling her that her taste in clothes was nice. The girls are about to set off on their first quest after becoming adventurers, and Haruka asks if he could join too. Class rep forbids him after the stunt he pulled yesterday and grounds him. Haruka pouts as if he were upset at not going with them, but he had something else up his sleeves. As soon as the girls are gone, Haruka takes off in his invisibility cloak and makes his second attempt at escape, which is successful, it seems. Haruka rejoices at the thought of finally returning back to his bachelor pad when he starts noticing things that are there to tempt him to stay, as if the isekai world itself didn't want him going back. Haruka tries to not give in and goes about his way, but one of the bandits stops him by throwing a spear at him, telling Haruka he couldn't let him go now that he's a witness. Haruka tries to negotiate with them to let him go to the woods, but the bandits don't listen, so Haruka blasts them with fire bullets thanks to his new magical wooden staff. Figuring Haruka as a magic user, the bandits decide to attack him in close range. But that doesn't really work either, as Haruka beats them effortlessly. As one of the bandits asks if Haruka really had a magic job, Haruka mumbles he actually had no job at all. The bandits huddle around and check Haruka's stats as he regrets telling them that. They then launch weapon skill-based attacks, unleashing powerful attacks automatically after selecting their skills. It appears Haruka was finally in trouble, but the bandits tire themselves out pretty fast without Haruka having to do anything. Marielle, daughter of a lord of a certain town, comes out of her carriage to offer her gratitude to Haruka, but is left puzzled at trying to figure out what to say to Haruka, as the bandits ended up defeating themselves, and Haruka did at first try to ignore her. Haruka wonders that he might have stumbled across another dimwit when Marielle asks him to accompany her for the rest of her journey. Haruka is hesitant at first, but quickly changes his mind when she mentions she would like to show him her gratitude. On their way, Haruka tells her about how drab and shabby Omoi was, and how the lord of such a town must be equally as shabby. Turns out Marielle was the daughter of the lord of Omoi and was actually headed for it. And with that, Haruka's second attempt at leaving Omoi also ends in utter failure. Meanwhile, back in the woods, the jocks face off against the delinquents in order to stop them from going after the girls. As the leader of the delinquents swings his weapon to attack the jocks, he gets stabbed clean through his chest with a glowing sword by a mysterious figure in a hood, at which point the episode ends. Stay connected, like and subscribe for more fun recaps on one and only Endless Recaps.